Hey guys, so it's been a while. This year I've mostly focused on a singular project until the end of the year where I've decided I'm going to try and rush through all of my projects. Um, but because I focused solely on one real project and then I did a lot of small things on like my in-between time, so travel to work, travel home from work, breaks at work kind of thing, or when I got stressed out with the project I was working on, I don't really have a video, I didn't have a way of making videos that kind of showed progress. So I have started making a video to show what I've accomplished this year. But that video probably won't come out until early February of next year because one of the items in it is actually the creation I was working on for my friend, and I don't want to show it here in case they check my channel and then, run across it and it ruins the surprise. Anyway, today's video, as I'm sure the title probably mentions, is a review on a yarn. In fact, it is reviewing this yarn, which is Red Heart Super Saver Brushed. Before I get into this, I do want to say that when it comes down to Red Heart in general, I know a lot of creators tend to say that they steer away from it or that they only use it in very specific items. Also, I'm sorry about the bird. I cannot make her not do that. I know a lot of people, though, will go, I steer away from it. I only use it for X, Y, or Z. I don't use it for everything. I do. Red Heart, Bernette, and Lion Brand yarns tend to be my go-to yarns because they're what I have nearby. Every place around me that sells yarn sells one of those three or multiple of them. The place I work sells Bernette yarn and this yarn. So, being a fan of Red Heart, I figured I'd give it a try. And when I critique yarns on whether or not I'd ever pick them up again, there are 5 basic things that I critique. Okay, sorry if things are slightly off now. I did want to go and grab a different item I made out of Red Heart as well. So, I've made this panel, and I've probably made like 50 of these, using Red Heart's whatever this is, Sparkle or Flake or whatever. And this is a gold one, even though it looks silver on the screen. This is a go-to yarn for me. And I'm already going to tell you that this is not. So, what makes a yarn a go-to and what makes it not a go-to? The first part is color selection. Red Heart is known for having every color. If you can't find it in Red Heart, you're probably not going to find it. With that being said, this comes in maybe 10 colors, most of which are off shades of pink. And a few of them just looked like eggshell to me. I am colorblind, so I may be slightly off. But they all looked really close to each other, but they said different names, so I know they're different colors. There might be like 20 colors, and you're either getting blues or you're getting pinks. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but personally I like pairable colors, and I can't always pair a blue with a pink. Or pair a blue with like a purplish color or with a white. I can't do that with everything. So the blues kind of pushed out And I actually did compare the blue to a lot of colors on the thing because I wanted to make a second piece to this outfit. Because I was making an outfit, a doll outfit. And I wanted to make a skirt to go with it. And I was going to make it a pink and blue skirt. And there was maybe one shade of their pink that actually went with this light blue color. And the rest just, to me, looked horrible with it. Like, I wasn't sure how I would pair it fairly to not overpower the blue. So, that was a thing. This yarn with this creation. Let me show you the creation real quick. It is not good. And I think I will take about 80% of responsibility for the fact that this is not good. It is not good because it is not the right... Like, it is one panel bigger than the other. The sleeves are not the same size. And the shoulders just suck altogether. And I will take most of the responsibility for that because I didn't know what I was doing. And to me, it's good enough for a doll. But I didn't fix any of the problems because this yarn is not froggable. What I mean by that is if you crochet a block with it and the block is off ever so slightly and it starts to do that triangling thing, which I know a lot of crafters know what I'm talking about, where the yarn just decides it's going to lean in to one direction because of course it is. You miss a count somewhere, you don't chain like you're supposed to. Small little details angle your yarn quick. Because the brush has a halo, which is not from me continuously flipping my fingers around the ball, but is actually supposed to be there because the yarn is actually brushed, that halo catches on itself as you try to pull it out. When you try to go to frog it, the halo rubs against itself and turns into a knot. I had it happen so many times on one of those panels that I stopped trying to fix the panel. Because I got like 4 rows into a section on it, and I noticed that it massively curved, and I tried to pull it out, and I had to cut the yarn. It was the only way I could get it out. That was strike 2 against this. Strike 1 was the color problem. Strike 2 is not being able to frog this yarn. Strike 3, and actually the only other strike it has against it, and you might not think that the color thing's a problem. You might be able to find a color that looks perfect with it, or pair it with every color and think it looks fine. But for me, the color was a problem. So the third problem was workability in general. So, like I mentioned that the halo catches when you try to frog it out, it also caught a few times while I was trying to work it in, causing an issue of creating a unnecessary loop somewhere because I thought I pulled my stitch tight and it actually was just that it got caught. So I didn't find it... It's definitely not a beginner-friendly yarn. And I like being able to mindlessly crochet. And I don't knit with anything I can't crochet with. But I like to do things mindlessly. I like to be able to turn something on, watch it on the TV, and just go. I couldn't do that with this yarn. So, those 3 are my negatives for it, which is the reason why I will probably never pick this up again unless commissioned to make something out of it. I'm going to try to still make a skirt to go with this outfit out of yarn I already have. and maybe use this as an accent to that. But I don't plan on picking up any more of this, so if I don't use all of this up in the skirt, it's going into scrap balls that I'm making, and that's just where it's going to sit. The more positive side of it, for people who are doing the same list and thinking that those colors aren't a problem, it's a 4-ply. 4-ply is my go-to yarn. I am making, I think, 4 items out of 2-ply, and I'm making something out of like a super bulky 6. But for the most part, I go for 4-plies. So the weight was fine, which is the reason I picked it up. And working with it, it is consistent. Like, the plying isn't super tight in points where it becomes super thin. The plying is consistent throughout the whole thing. The size is consistent. You're not going to worry about that. More than anything, you'd worry about the fact that it doesn't want to break very easily. I actually struggled to get it to break in a few points because I couldn't find my scissors. So if you tend to break your yarn by hand, this will just cut your hand open. Now, I brought a second yarn out here because I wanted to do kind of a comparison thing so you guys can see what one of my go-to yarns is and how Red Heart can do great. Because to me, this one wasn't great. But this is. The sparkly black, this is great. It works up like most other yarns. You can't actually tell. Because I know the biggest issue with these things is normally the splitting of the wire and the yarn. It only split there because I broke this by hand. But it doesn't split when I'm working with it. It works up nice. Works up easily and mindlessly. It's very froggable. I know because I have frogged 4 of these because I made 4 too many panels. And the weight's a 4. Well, yeah, it's a 4 and then it's plied alongside this shiny thing. But it's basically a 4. The weight's consistent throughout the entire ball, always. The only negative I have on the sparkly is that it comes in 4 colors, I think. I think it comes in a black, a pink, maybe a blue, and then there's another black that has the silver. Because this one has the gold, there's another black that has the silver. But that color is my only con on this. Whereas I had 3 cons on this. Just, I know they can do good. Like I said, the normal Red Heart Super Sabers have probably like 100 different colors. I got pinks, blue, and whites in brushed. That's what they gave us. And if this, even if I'm wrong, even if this was a fluke ball and me giving up after 1 ball of it is probably problematic, because I know most creators will use like 4 or 5 before they give up on it. Personally, I would never reach for this, which is why I wanted to make the video on it. This will never be my go-to. It feels, for those of you who haven't felt it before, it feels like a yarn that you've thrown into the washer like 50 times. And you know how that yarn sometimes comes out soft and fluffier and maybe frustrates you a bit. That's what this feels like starting. Finished project feels like it's been washed multiple times, which is great, and also very obnoxious when working the project. But that's enough of me complaining. I will let you guys go. That's 15 minutes of your time you're not going to get back. Happy crafting. Bye, guys.